So, welcome to MMA 24/7. So today I'll be doing some breakdown for the fight that's happening this weekend, UFC 317, and giving my prediction, sharing my opinion, and to what I feel and how the fight's gonna go. And this is not for betting purposes, so I just do it because as a fan, I love to share my opinion while I watch the fights. So yeah, let's get started. And before I start, I'm sorry if the quality of the video is not good. Well, I'm just getting started, and as a channel grows, I shall grow too, so keep supporting. So let's get started. UFC 317, Illia versus Charles Oliveira. Illia Topuria, a former featherweight champion, moving up to 155 to fight against Charles Oliveira, another former lightweight champion, trying to retain his belt back. They are both gonna fight for the vacant title, where Islam Makhachev, which was Islam Makhachev, we both knew, where he vacated his belt to move to 170 welterweight division to fight against Jack Della Mandela. So the title is vacant, and either of this fighter is gonna win and be the lightweight champion. So let's do the breakdown and let's do the prediction. And of course, I'm not gonna break down and predict each and every fight, only the fight that and the fighters that I'm familiar with. So let's get started, and we'll start with yes, Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. Well, Nico Price run in the UFC has quite been filled with adversity, I guess, with his recent loss with Temba Gorimbo and losses with guys like Robbie Lawler. So I don't think I think Nico Price is gonna get cut from UFC after this. If he loses again, he's gonna be fighting with against Jacoby Smith, a newcomer from Dana White Contender Series, and he has a one TKO win in his UFC career. Now he's a wrestler, but he's quite a explosive hitter. So I think if I have to pick my fight, I think I'm gonna go with Jacoby Smith first round TKO. So we'll move again. Terence McKinney versus Vasylev Borshev. I've watched quite a few fights of Terence McKinney. The way he fights, I like the way he fights. He's quite crafty. He has some losses, but I don't know much about his opponent. So what I can say is his stand-up fighting is good. So if the fight goes on striking, if it's a striking fight, if that's what his even though his opponent's from Russia, and I don't know how it's gonna go, but I think if Terence McKinney and his opponent fights on the feet, I think it's gonna go for the I think Terence McKinney is gonna win, just cut it to the shot, in a matter of, I think it's gonna go to the decision. So I don't know much about this fight, but I think Terence McKinney is gonna win. So moving on to Haider Amil. Haider Amil is quite, I've seen his fight. He has 0 losses in UFC, and he's a bully. He fights like a bully. I don't know much about his opponent, but I don't know. I'm not gonna predict this. So let's talk about Jack Hermansson and Gregory Rodriguez. This is a fight. This is a fight. Why is there in the main event of the prelims? Jack Hermansson just came out with a win against a newcomer, which we all thought is gonna climb up the rank. But he got fraud check, Joe Pfeiffer. And Jack Hermansson had a dominating win against Joe Pfeiffer. Joe Pfeiffer was known for that, for hitting heavy, for having that knockout power. He said he had that power. He said he had that power more than, I think, more than Francis Ngannou. So we all thought he's gonna knock Jack Hermansson out. Even while I was watching the fight, but somehow Jack Hermansson won, and he won it in a dominating way, both ground and feet. But now he's gonna go against Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez, another heavy hitter with great knockout power, and even though his last fight was a loss, he has a TKO loss against Jared Cannonier, which was surprising, to be honest, to lose against Jared. But he's still dangerous. But if I have to pick my winner, I would still pick Jack. But you can't count Gregory Rodriguez out. He still has that power. But let's see. If I have to bet, I think it'll be a risky better. I'll sound like a risky better, but I wouldn't count Jack Hermanson out. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gregory knocks Jack Hermanson, but with the experience Jack has, I would go for Jack to win, and the method of winning is gonna be split, I guess, or unanimous. So moving on to the main card, Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. This is a fight, it's gonna go either way, both, I feel like both are similar kind of a fighter. Both has that good ground game. The wrestling are not that good, but I feel Beneil has more advantage, more power, more skills in his toolkit, and and who's gonna win? Well, how this fight is gonna go? See, Moicano, you can't count enough. I am a fan of Moicano, man. He's a man of a character. He's funny, he's entertaining, but at the same time, look at Moicano's last fight. Even though he lost to Islam, it's funny that he got to fight Islam before Illia got. So even he lost his last minute fight against Islam. Obviously, it was obvious, but look at his previous fight with Jalen Turner, with Beneil Saint Denis. Everybody counted him out, I think that's how, because even I counted him, but he came out with a win with Beneil Saint Denis. He came out with a second round TKO win. It was a good for winning against a guy like Beneil Saint Denis. No one expects. So I think even in this fight, as a fan, I feel like Moicano is gonna come out with something, from his skill set, he's gonna come out with a win. So I'm gonna go Renato Moicano as a winner. I'm gonna take Moicano as a winner, and matter of winning is probably gonna be, I don't know, you can't say how he's gonna win. That's the thing. He's a tricky fighter. So, but I think Moicano is gonna take a win. Moving on to another fighter. This is the fight that this is a sleeper fight. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Joshua Van coming out with a TKO win just 3 weeks prior to this, 317. His last fight was in 316. He came out with a TKO win, a dominating TKO win. So he's gonna be fighting again against top prospect Brandon Royval, number 1 ranked fighter. So how this fight is gonna go? Well, I don't know. This is a fight, between an experienced fighter and a fighter who has gained great momentum. It's a momentum versus experience. So Joshua Van has 2 wins. In his last fight was again in UFC Norcia, I guess, and there also I think he got a TKO win. I think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. But his last fight was a TKO win, so he has a great momentum coming out this fight. He has a knockout power. He has a great boxing, great striking. But for Brandon Royval, same. Brandon Royval is just like his fighting name, Raw Dog. He's there for a fight, with an experience. He has fought many great fighters like the champion itself, Brandon Moreno. So he has great, and he has been in a main event for 3 main events. I think he has 3 main events. So who are you gonna pick here, man? That's the thing. This is anything can happen in this fight, bro. It's experience versus momentum. So I'm not gonna pick anyone. May the best man win. Anything can happen. Don't be surprised if Joshua Van knocks out Brandon Royval. Don't be surprised if Brandon Royval puts up a great fight against Joshua Van. So it's, well, if Joshua Van wins, I think there's a new title contender. But I'm not gonna pick any winner. May the best man win. We're moving up to the co-main event. Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Kara. Well, I have underestimated Pantoja for a quite long time, ever since his fight against Steve Ercik. I think he was not good as a champion, fighting like that with a number 10 ranked guy. And then, but then the way he fought against Kai Asakura, Kai Asakura coming from an organization like Rizin. We all know the history of Rizin, how the fighters are, how they fight. So I thought, like, okay, Alexander is not gonna win they're gonna be new champion, a Japanese champion, but somehow, Pantoja proved many of us wrong. He's like a great underrated champion that we sleep on. So this fight, I think I'm not gonna go against Pantoja for sure. Even though he's fighting Kai Kara France, another great prospect with heavy hands, knockout power. He's gonna come out bringing that Maori, his I don't know, New Zealand thing, not sure. He's gonna bring a Maori spirit in this fight. He's going for that win. He's going to try to become a champion. He's motivated, so he's gonna go there and try to knock Pantoja out. So, but I feel like Pantoja has grew much more better fighter after he became a champion. So I think this fight Pantoja is gonna win. He's gonna dominate Kai Kara France, but I wouldn't be surprised again if Kai Kara knocks the fuck out, but I'm not gonna underestimate Pantoja again. Like I said, he has become a great fighter after he became a champion. His skills have improved, his strikings have improved, great fighter. So I think Pantoja is gonna submit Kai Kara. I think so, but so if I have to put my money on, I'm gonna put on Alexander Pantoja without any doubt. I'm not gonna underestimate him, but I wouldn't be surprised again if Kai Kara wins this fight, but it's high unlikely to happen. So because I think this time in flyweight we are gonna get the Demetrius Johnson era back with Pantoja. So Pantoja for the win, either submission win or unanimous decision. So let's move to the main event of the evening: Illia Topuria versus Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira. Illia Topuria, I gotta say one thing, man. This man has broken my heart not once but twice, and second time with how he knocked out Max Holloway. Man, my heart was shattered. Seeing your favorite fighter. I have been a fan of Max Holloway for a very long time. So when you see your favorite fighter lose, gets knocked down like that, it's hard to watch, And my second favorite fighter is Charles Oliveira, and this might be the third time my heart's gonna break and it's gonna get broken by the same fighter again. And to be honest, even though I'm a fan of Charles, I might sound like a hypocrite, double standard guy, but I can't go against Illia Topuria, man. The way he fights, the way he is as a fighter. First, let's talk about how his confidence and his visualizing skill and his manifesting stands him out and other champion. He says he's gonna knock that guy out. He knocks that guy out, man. So and if you look at his fighting skills, how he dominates his opponent. So there are 3-4 techniques that I've noticed Illia Topuria uses when he's fighting. First thing that I'm impressed with, man. First thing is how he shadows his opponent. Constantly stalking his opponent, moving slowly, slow pace. With good balancing, slow pace, with that boxing stance, chin down, hands up, constantly shadowing his opponents and pressuring him, moving forward, pressuring his opponent to that towards the cage, and there he goes with a combination and knocks his opponent out. It happened with even though he didn't knock Josh Emmett, but I could see it in Josh Emmett fight. I could see it in Alexander Volkanovski fight and Max Holloway, where he's constantly pressuring his opponent. That impresses me. That's a great technique that he has, skills, let's just say. Another thing is his combinations, man. Most of the fighters and his choice, striking choices, where he strikes in your body. If you've noticed, many fighters in UFC also, they don't usually throw more than 2 combinations. Usually what they do is they throw 2 combinations, or they go for takedown. But I have seen two fighters who throws more than two combinations, Illia Topuria one and Jack Della Maddalena, both great boxers, and for Illia, the shot selection, in his body shots and all, throwing the 3-2, you could see that in Jai Herbert. His last lightweight fight in his lightweight division was with Jai Herbert, and you could see there the way he pushed him towards the cage, and through that combination, I think it was 3-2 and 2, I think so, something like that, 3-2-2, 3-2, I think it was like that. Body, face, no, it was like face, body, 2-3-2, it was like that. So if you could see carefully, when Illia landed that 2-3-2, for a few seconds Jai Herbert thought, okay, he's not gonna throw again, and the next moment he landed that 2 again, and that knocked him out. So that fascinates me also, that combination that that combination that he throws with power, man. So that's gonna be an advantage. Another thing is his low kick, how he hits the check kicks, low kicks, let's just say that, let's not complicate things. Low kicks, when he's constantly hitting the calf kicks in his opponent's calf to make him switch stance, and that's what happens when you switch stance against Illia Topuria. And if you could see it, you could notice it in both Alexander Volkanovski fight and Max Holloway. The moment they switched their stance, that's when he pressed them against the cage and knocked them out. It happened both in Alexander Volkanovski fight and in Max Holloway fight. And you can say that that Charles has a great ground game, and of course he has, but even if Charles gets knocked out, he's going to stand up again, just like he did in his previous fights with Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, etc. But with Illia, if you notice, when he knocked Alexander Volkanovski out, the moment he knocked him out, he just pressed him again. He went down, he pressed him against his cage, didn't let him get up, and just started hitting with a final blow until the fight got stopped. So that's what makes him a great fighter, man. Not just his confidence, but even in skill set. That's the way he studies his opponent. So based on that, that's why I'm saying that's me. If we are counting Charles out, usually we don't. He's a fan favorite in UFC, maybe because that's how good Illia is, man. But let's talk about Charles though. Even though if we are counting Charles out, I think Charles does have few advantage fighting, when he's in his fight against Illia, that we might have underestimated him. I think we are counting Charles out. As a fan, I'm guilty of that. Of course, we have our own reason, but even though if we are counting Charles out, I don't think we should completely count him out, because if you look how Charles fight, he has been, even though Charles has that 10 losers and he has always been in and out of UFC, like facing adversity in and out of UFC, but I think Charles has improved a lot. He has improved a lot, and there are few skill sets that Charles has that he may be able to use against Illia. We all know Charles can get reckless, but we know how Charles has that Muay Thai stance. But maybe that Muay Thai stance might be a problem for Charles, as Illia likes to hit on the body as well. So that Muay Thai stance might not be great stance, defensive stance. But what's great about that stance is he's gonna, Illia won't. I don't think Illia's gonna have success hitting that calf kick, because he's constantly moving. He's constantly moving his lead leg. He's doing deeps and is moving forward just like Illia. Illia likes the pressure, so does Charles. So they are constantly moving. So I think that's why Illia, because Illia hasn't been in that in all of his fights. He's the one who takes charge. But here, both of the fighters takes charge. So both of the fighters move forward. So, and with Charles moving like that, with that Muay Thai high guard stance with constantly moving his lead leg. So I don't think Ilya is going to have success with hitting his calves. And the other thing that I feel amazing, you know, about Charles is his striking has improved a lot. You know, his striking has improved a lot. What he does is he grabs you, he clinches you, and he throws that counter. You know, it's very quick. You know, that could be an advantage. You know, because Ilya hasn't fought like guys with like that. You know, in any of his fights. So he grabs his opponent and he throws that counter, that right hand or knees. So he has good kicks, also high kicks. So this can, you know, even though we are counting Charles out, but this could be some skills of Charles that can make him win, you know. So I still feel Ilya is gonna win, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ilya knocks Charles out in the first round also. But I wouldn't be, you know, I would be quite surprised. Everybody will be surprised if Charles defeats Ilya. So yeah, the favor is against Charles, but all the favors is with Ilya. But we have our own reason. But if I have to put my money, as a fan, I don't want to snitch on my favorite fighter, so I would put my money on Charles, man. I would put my money on Charles. I want him to win. You know, I'm saying that Ilya is gonna win with a heavy heart. I want Charles to win, to be honest. But Ilya is just that good, man. So yes, let's enjoy the fight this weekend. And new